Hi everyone, it is your girl Jacqueline Belle, and thank you once again for joining me on another episode of the Divorcee Diaries. So some of you that follow me on Instagram might have seen that I did a live Q&A from questions from all of you, and some were on travel and some were on divorce or relationships. And I wanted to take the time to answer the top 5 questions that were submitted by all of you on travel. So because I love travel so much, as you all know, it's been such a healing place for me. I wanted to do a quick video on the top 5 questions that I received on travel. So if you're new to my channel, my name is Jacqueline Belle, and I am a divorcee. I am a world traveler, I'm an entrepreneur, and my videos all focus on all of those things. And I love helping people as best I can in any way that I can. So without further ado, let's get into some of these questions. So the first question I have is, what was it like the first time traveling alone? So the first time traveling alone was really scary, actually. It was in 2019, and it was my 30th birthday trip. And this trip was supposed to be done with my then husband, but since we were divorcing, we separated in March of 2019, and our divorce was final in July of 2019. And my birthday's in June. So one of the things that we had to identify what to do with was these plane tickets. And when I asked him about it, like, what the heck are we gonna do these tickets? He's like, well, I'll just go on this trip without you, and I'll just reimburse you for your ticket. And I was like, heck no. That's the best you can come up with? No, I'm going on this trip. So I went, and it was very, very scary. I remember having to think a lot. I remember being like lying down on my couch, looking up at my ceiling, thinking, what the hell do I do? And I really feel like God, the universe, whatever you want to call it, spoke to me and said, get up, you're going on this trip. And as soon as I made that decision, I planned the rest of my trip. I got all of my hotels. And I was only 2 weeks away from my trip. I got all my hotels. They're all 4 and 5 star. I think I had 1 4-star. All the rest were like 5-star hotels, maybe 2 of them. And I was like, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do this for me. And although there were a couple moments that were very dark and that were very sad during the trip, out of the 2 weeks, those moments of sadness did not overshadow the amount of healing I was able to have by just seeing a new place, by being somewhere else and doing whatever I wanted to do. I had to check in with myself and see what Jacqueline wanted to do. And that was so powerful because I was able to reconnect with myself. And instead of thinking, what does my husband want to do? What do my friends want to do on this trip? What have you? I asked, what does Jacqueline want to do on this trip? What do I want to do? And that was so freeing and so empowering that it just overshadowed anything else that was bad. So I had the greatest time. It was really a wonderful time. So it was very, very scary. At times it was sad. Again, this is right before my divorce was even finalized. I think I was 4 months into my separation with my ex-husband. So it was all very raw, but I wouldn't have changed that first solo trip for anything. So hopefully that answered question number 1. Next question I have is, the best places to travel solo. So oh my gosh, y'all, there's so many places. So I'll say it again, Singapore. Well, I don't know if you all have watched my vlogs and read my blogs, you'll know that Singapore is a very special place in my heart. That's where I first landed to go on my solo journey, was Singapore. And why I love Singapore is that it's so beautiful. You can do many things for free. They have many different, kind of like Vegas, they have like a water show in the bay. They have like these fairly inexpensive sites you can see at like the top of that really nice surfboard hotel. I forgot what you call it. I'll put it in the show notes. They They have beautiful, the garden they have is just called the garden. Again, I'll put the actual name in the show notes. But it's just so much beautiful things that you can do for free, and it's very, very safe, especially for women. So great solo female place to go is Singapore. Penang, Malaysia was also beautiful. It was inexpensive. The food was amazing, and the people were quite lovely. And not a lot of people know about it. I think it's really a diamond, that has yet to be seen. So Penang, Malaysia is a great one. Tokyo, very, very safe. It is the city of lights. I feel like it's like New York, but even more of the city of lights than New York, and everything's fashionable. Everyone's very respectful and helpful. Signs are in English, which is helpful too. So that's great. Vienna as well. Another great place because especially in the winter during the holiday season, they have the most beautiful lights. Like there in London have the most beautiful lights. Also London's a great place to travel solo as well. A lot of things to do, a little bit pricey, but there's always a lot of things to do. And the tube is really great and helpful to get around. But I love Vienna for the lights too, but also it was very beautiful. It's a beautiful city. It's very pretty and it's very, very safe. So those, I guess, are some of the best places I'd like to highlight with all of you to answer this question for the best places to travel solo. I would say Singapore, Tokyo, Penang, Malaysia, London, Vienna. You'll be in great hands in those areas. All right, question number 3. If you could travel with anyone in the world, who would it be? This one is so hard. But you know what? Recently I've been on this kick watching Somebody Feed Phil on Netflix. Can I get a woo woo if you heard of Somebody Feed Phil on Netflix? Phil Rosenthal, he's one of the creators of Everybody Loves Raymond, and he loves to eat, so he goes to all these like beautiful places and eats their food, talks to the people, gets to know the culture, and has comedians drop in all throughout the season. So I would say I'd love to travel with Phil from Somebody Feed Phil and his team because it seems like a really close-knit team, and I'm just going to put out in the universe now that hopefully we'll work together. That would be a dream. Yes, some well-traveled people that love to eat. I don't think you can go wrong there. Okay, question 4. Have you done any food tours? So I always do food tours. I think the only place I've never done a food tour was in Rio de Janeiro in Brazil. And that was because the rain was really bad and the tour ended up being canceled the day that I could do it. So I didn't get to do the food tour there. But food tours are one of the main attractions for me when I go any place. And I feel like you can't really get to know a culture until you get to know its food. So I get very intimate with the culture when I taste the food and experience the food tours from professionals. So I highly recommend wherever you go when you travel that you do a food tour. It's always around, I find. Okay, and now we're on to our last question number 5. And the last question is, where was your favorite place you've traveled to? I love that question. And there are so many places. I've been very fortunate to go to like 30 different cities and 20 plus different countries. And I'm just scratching the surface, really. I'm just scratching the surface. But I would have to say that my favorite place I've traveled to is probably Singapore. Again, it's the safety piece, but also the beauty, the lavishness. I do like some fancy things, y'all. And Tokyo would probably be a close second. And it depends on the day, I probably would say Tokyo's first. It just depends on the day. I just love like the Asian hospitality. I think is very important. The Asian hospitality is so considerate, kind, and respectful. And in Japan, they're very respectful. Even though I was walking around as someone who's very obviously a tourist, not used to the heat, dressed in shorts and a tank top while everyone else is covered and like unaware of the heat or used to the heat. It's amazing. But Tokyo is like the Sea of Lights. It's very easy to get around. The transportation systems are spot on. Tokyo is one of the best cities, urban structured cities to get around in I think I've ever been to. And I just love the food, and the sushi there is the best, and the ramen, oh my gosh, it's the best. Singapore is great too, has a whole bunch of Michelin star restaurants that are affordable. That was the first time I went to a Michelin star restaurant, once in Singapore. So I'm gonna cheat on this question and say Singapore and Tokyo, because it really just depends on the day, whichever one I'm leaning towards on that particular day. So those are my top 5 questions that you submitted on travel, and I hope I was able to answer some of the questions that probably you've been thinking about, or some questions that you've been contemplating for yourself, whether you're trying to travel solo or thinking about your next destination. And if you made it this far into the video, can you just put solo travel in the comments? I'd very much appreciate it. And please do not forget to like and subscribe. And lastly, hit the little bell at the top so that you can be updated with all my videos as they come out every single week. So with that, I wish you all a very happy, wonderful rest of today and a great rest of the week. And I'll talk to you and see you again.